Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone podcast. My name is Kathy. I wanted to follow up on a presentation that's published on the Indie Zone YouTube channel. I provided a link to it in the description to this podcast episode, and it goes into some detail relative to the effective amending of the pretrial and trial order to add an additional item that Judge Hippler had announced would occur at or about the time of the pretrial conference, which is set by the October 9th, 2024 pretrial and trial order. And this has to do with Ann Taylor, counsel for Mr. Kohberger's stunning announcement at the April 9th, 2025 in limine hearings that there was at least one alternative suspect. This occurred during the state's motion in limine regarding alternative suspect evidence of any alternative suspects out there to Mr. Kohberger. Ms. Taylor also announced at that hearing that she had an expert witness who would testify that the crimes that occurred at 1122 King were perpetrated by two perpetrators utilizing different weapons. So now what's happened is that effectively the pretrial and trial order has been amended to allow for these forthcoming hearings on alternative suspects to Mr. Kohberger. The defense will have that time to provide offers of proof as to who this individual or individuals are. And since that presentation went up, I've gotten a number of questions asking what happens next if the defense is successful. Well, it is very difficult to know, because a couple of things that might happen is that Ms. Taylor might move for an immediate dismissal of the charges if she's able to make this pitch that the state's evidence is simply wrong, and here's the evidence of who the state overlooked. Because remember, in their response to this in limine motion, defense said that the case was filled with alternative suspects and that there are many alternative suspects. So Ms. Taylor, she might move for an immediate dismissal of the charges that Mr. Kohberger is facing, 5 first-degree felonies. If that doesn't happen, put the alternative suspect on the witness list and have him or her answer questions in front of the jury. That's another possible thing that might happen. Or if the state is convinced that this evidence is strong enough, they may affirmatively do something. It all depends. It is hard to come to any sort of a prediction or a conclusion until this evidence is presented. These offers of proof are presented, and undoubtedly, as we saw during the last hearing, Judge Hippler is going to ask questions. So it will be important to note what this evidence is and also how the court's reacting to it and what he says in response. It will help gauge if he feels that it's strong or that it's weak or somewhere in between. We are going to wait for this hearing notice. It should be published shortly, because if the court, as he said, this would happen around the May 15th pretrial conference, for which there are 2 days set aside, this hearing notice may be coming out as early as next week. Once it does, we will notify you of the same. And if you're interested in the case and this is a public hearing, this is going to be one not to be missed. This will now conclude this episode of the Indie Zone podcast. My name is Kathy. Thanks for joining us here today.